Devil May Cry, an action hack and slay for the PlayStation 2 developed and published by Capcom in the year 2001. In production it started out as Resident Evil 4, but soon the game had an original concept far from the Resident Evil formula. Thus an original story was written and Devil May Cry was announced. From this point on, Devil May Cry gained many followers and a new franchise was established. Let's take a look at how the series started. Welcome to Lonely Lion's RAWRVIEWS. In Devil May Cry we follow the demon killer Dante. He is the son of Sparda, who once sealed Mundus the demon lord away. Having lost his family to the demons, he obviously seeks revenge. One day, a woman called Trish comes to his office and explains that the gates of the underworld could be opened soon. Mundus had the chance to break free and once again wants to rule over the human world. Dante's story begins here, as he has to try to find a way to stop Mundus. Trish leads him to Mallet Island, the place where the gates to the underworld exist. From here on out we learn a lot about Dante's background and meet various demons we have to fight on our way. The sinister story deals with the loss of loved ones and self-reflection. The melancholic and dark atmosphere underlines the story elements. And seriously, did you take a look at Dante? He's a fucking badass and he's interesting AF. Not to mention that he is a cutie. And though the story itself is a bit cliché and romantic scenes are sometimes a bit creepy, the world around Dante and Dante's background itself is just so fascinating. In Devil May Cry you have 23 missions with different goals that you have to complete step by step. After each mission you get a rating for your performance, and a good rating gets you better rewards. In Devil May Cry, of course, you'll have to fight. A handful of small enemies and big bosses will be in your way. You have to kill these demons, and you are rewarded with red orbs. Red orbs can be used at the goddess statue for various items, but more on that later. In combat, you can use one weapon and one gun. Both have different types with unique fighting styles. You can even buy new fighting moves at the goddess statue. Keep in mind that those moves are only available for the special weapons Alistair and Infrid. These are also the only weapons that can use the devil trigger. Dante transforms into his demonic self and increases strength and defense. Furthermore, he slowly restores a small amount of health and has new special attacks available depending on which weapon he chose. Literally, on the other hand, you have the gun, which can deal damage from far away. And just so you know, the shotgun is the best. Something you have to be aware of in combat is that your fighting style is being rated, meaning that combos earn you more red orbs. Another gameplay mechanic of Devil May Cry are puzzles. Their content is mostly about you finding key items to open the next area. And speaking of areas, you have to deal with platforming. Just a small part of the game. Jumps are semi-automatic depending on where you're standing, and you can find special items like fragments of blue orbs. Now here comes another awesome transition. Talking about blue orbs, water is blue. It's a very small gameplay mechanic in the game, but you can swim underwater. It is overall a floaty first-person shooter in water. You have to find a way from A to B, and monsters can just appear out of nowhere. And while you can't seem to drown, the monsters can actually kill you. For the completionists out there, there are secret missions in the game. These are optional challenges hidden in various places. They reach from shooting stuff in a limited time to killing something in one blow. As I said before, you can get items at the goddess statue. These include vital stars for regeneration of your health, and blue orbs that can increase the maximum of your health bar. To keep the game challenging, items get more expensive each time you purchase one. They are strong and can be a game changer, so luckily you can find these in the environment. Now, I have to confess, I'm quite bad at this game. I died like over 1,000 times. It can be really difficult, especially boss fights, and even though I was playing on normal. After finishing the game you unlock hard mode, so no thank you. But the worst part about the difficulty is that you need yellow orbs for continues. If you die and have a yellow orb, you can restart the situation over again. But if you die and don't have a yellow orb, you have to restart the whole mission. This fact is really frustrating. When you have to get to a boss fight and that takes over 5 minutes maybe, and you die in like 30 seconds and have to start over again. Now you may think, well, your problem. Play better. In my opinion, it's not just skill that's needed, but luck as well. I'll tell you why. The camera is your worst enemy. It gives you really nice views on the scenery, but sometimes blocks the view on enemies. And what's even worse is when the camera perspective changes. It always fucks up a bit with your input. You wanna go up? Ooh, camera perspective change. Now you wanna go down. It always seems like a little seizure that Dante is having when you switch from one perspective to the other just because your input is just different. Up is now right maybe, or right is down, and up and left, and you know what I mean. I hope you do. And I can tell you from experience, in boss fights it's really great. Really, yeah. Well, at least it looks nice when I die. Something else that fucks the combat up is the auto lock-on. You often attack stuff that you don't want to attack. You try to look away from the person and Dante's just thinking, I want to attack that person now. I don't care what you have to say. And as you can imagine, it's really annoying in boss fights. Against Nightmare you have to light up the stones. And to light up the stones you have to attack them. And I try to look at them, and I try to attack them. I really do. But Dante is like, behind me there's an enemy that I can't attack because the lights aren't on. Let's attack him. Thank you, Dante. Now you're dead. As much as I hate these moments, the combat is still really fun. It's just awesome using these different kind of weapons and having the frickin' shotgun. Duh. Yet another thing that can be torture is platforming, because the semi-automatic jump sequences that depend on your position sometimes don't really work. And don't get me started with the rewarding system. It makes the game more difficult for players who already have trouble, and make it easier for players who don't have a problem with the game at all. It just doesn't make that much sense to me. And still, even with all those flaws, I had a really good time with the game. The gameplay is not as broken as I make it sound like, but it has its flaws, obviously. The dark and gloomy art style create the sinister atmosphere that is seen in games like Resident Evil 4. The level design is perfect for gameplay, and many unique places can be visited, like the Mirror World and Underworld. Of course I have to mention that the character design of Dante is excellent. And he's looking really good, even though the graphics are from 2001. The cutscenes were well made, and the camera work, even though I hate it gameplay-wise, is excellent. It looks gorgeous. I often took my time in the game and walked slowly just to see the scenery around me. And how could I forget those frickin' awesome videos for the weapon changes? Just look at it! It's frickin' awesome! Now coming to the sound, if you know Devil May Cry, you know the soundtrack is lit. It's a combination between metal, rock, techno. I don't know, I just know that it makes you feel like a badass. Combine the awesome music with the good sound effects that are quite realistic, it's just awesome, the way it should be. Yet, as much as I like the music, in cutscenes it's a bit strange that sometimes the music is louder than the frickin' voices. And could anyone tell me why I don't have subtitles for Dante, but for the enemy demons when my subtitles are activated? No? Thought so. Taking a look at the voice acting, it's actually quite fine. There are some exceptions, like this one.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light.
Except for those moments, the voice acting is totally okay. Now that we've discussed each segment, let's summarize the whole experience and give the game its rating. Each category can earn up to 2 points, leading to the maximum number of 8. However, I can give up to 2 bonus points, rating the overall experience. Let's take a look. In the story segment, it's just Dante. He's an interesting character, has an interesting background, and the whole world around him is just fascinating. Yet on the other side, there are some awkward moments, especially with Trish, so Devil May Cry earns 1.5 out of 2 points. Gameplay wise, the combat is awesome, and it was a very good idea to put in the variety in weapons and in missions. Still, I won't forget about the problems I had with the controls, especially the automatic lock-on and the jumping mechanics. Furthermore, I think that the reward system is not well implemented. Devil May Cry earns 1 out of 2 points in gameplay. Visually, the game is awesome. I really love the art style, and the character and the level design are perfect. And even though I hate the camera perspectives in gameplay, I really enjoy looking at the scenery through those perspectives. Keeping in mind that the game was released in 2001, I give the visual aspect 2 out of 2 points. The soundtrack is fucking awesome, and while there are some quite weird voice acting scenes and the sound mixing isn't that great, I still give Devil May Cry 1.5 out of 2 points for sound. Overall, the game is just freaking good. I really enjoyed everything. The soundtrack, the cutscenes, the gameplay itself, even though there are some little flaws. It was just an awesome adventure. Still, those flaws are a bit too big to give 2 points, so Devil May Cry gets 1.5 out of 2 bonus points. Adding everything up, it leads to the total score of 7.5 out of 10. The game is really good, and story-wise, it has a lot of potential. I can see now why they made so many sequels to that game. Definitely I'll check these out, and sure do I hope that they got rid of those flaws that the first one had. Hey Capcom, I've got an idea. How about Devil of Duty? No? Maybe Call of Devil?